What's good, gamers? BloodElf941 here. Today's video I wanted to talk about something that I keep seeing, especially now that the Borderlands movie is out, and it's sure is a movie. But this take that Borderlands has always been bad and was never actually good. I wanted to just talk about how I don't agree with that take. This is going to be a video similar to the Gears of War one. That's really just me going, I like Borderlands, it's important to me, I have a history with it. Yeah, but we're gonna just, I don't know, we're gonna get into this opinion that I don't agree with. Borderlands, in my opinion, was always good. You guys just like hating things. Now, I'm very biased. I played Borderlands 2 at the perfect time that it kept me from doing some very stupid and selfish things. Made me realize how important somebody is to their loved ones. Not to get too heavy, just establishing where I'm coming from, if and when I get defensive over something that's really important to me. Also, Randy Pitchford and Gearbox have allegedly done some very not good things to people working under and for them, plus some other more extreme allegations that I don't know enough to speak on. I'm not defending the company or the executives, just the IP. Oh, and the movie is ass. And was asked from inception, but that will be the focus of the latter portion of the video. Feel free to skip ahead if I remember to timestamp or set up chapters. I want to talk specifically about the games. I just don't understand why liking something is bad now, because we used to like it when we were younger. I also don't agree that it's bad. I don't. I think that it's fine. I think that Borderlands still works. Some things that have not aged as well for sure, but speaking to, has always been bad. The games have always been good in at least one key aspect that escalate them to being above average. Like Borderlands 1, right? It was a very, very simple game. Its whole point was that it was Diablo, but a shooter. There were gun parts and loot to chase. The funny number go up. That was really it. Like, there was some light character RPG stuff. The story was extremely bare bones until General Knox. The game was very simple, and that was all it needed to be, right? It was a proof of concept. Now, Borderlands 2 was just everything that was good about the first game, but also adding a good story and taking it to the next level. There was even more guns with much more distinction between them and cool effects that aren't just unique spread patterns or higher numbers on certain weapons. The manufacturers were much more distinct than just color palettes on weapons and some base stats or the tech system that certain manufacturers were more focused on. Like Jacob's weapons being all non-elemental damage with some very specific exceptions. Torg and his explosives, Mallow and the elemental bonuses, Vladov and the high rate of fire. Much more distinct manufacturers and much more distinct characters as well. Each of the character trees were a lot more interesting and engaging, and it was a lot of fun playing through each game. Not to mention the environmental design. Borderlands 1, aside from some DLC areas and like one spot at the end of the game, was pretty much just wasteland desert. And Borderlands 2 opens with you in an icy tundra. And there's also, there's the dust, which is the desert area. There's the highlands areas. There's trees. There's a lot more variety in the wildlife as well. So there's a lot more than just Mad Max desert, environmental design-wise. There's a metropolitan area. Now, granted, it's under construction, so it's not really, like, populated. But it is a distinct biome, and it's a lot more variety than the first game had. Also, very, very good character rating with Handsome Jack and the Tiny Tina DLC. The other DLCs are kind of but Tiny Tina's was beautiful. A very, very wonderful addition to the narrative, and Tina coming to terms with Roland's death and dealing with it in a way that a child would, I think, is it's very good. It's very good. Good writing. The pre-sequel made the player characters more defined in the moment, as opposed to the cutscenes in later games and audio logs only. Like there was a lot more voice lines from the characters that you played as, a lot more like commenting on the scenario, on the situations at hand. There was a more defined personality with the characters that you were playing as. Also, the skill trees got even more distinct from each other, a lot more unique, weird things, not just boosts of this kind of stat and this kind of stat, or, there was like stat consumption, there was Nisha's dual-wielding tree, there was Wilhelm's cyborg thing, and the certain skills actually changed the way that Wilhelm looked. That's pretty fucking cool. A lot more augments, some very, very cool things there, a lot of fun. Also, the Claptrap DLC was fantastic. But aside from that, it was basically just Australian Borderlands on the moon. Also, there was ice and lasers. And I mean, it's more Borderlands too, so I didn't hate it. I just didn't play it as much as the former. Tales of the Borderlands was fucking great. At least the first one was. I loved it. I fucking loved it. Yes, it's where you realize they didn't know what to do with the IP without Handsome Jack holding stuff together in some capacity, but it was still very, very good. I can't speak to the second one. I have not heard good things, though, and since it's not a shooter, I'm honestly surprised that the first Tales was so good. The biggest draw that Borderlands had is the whole Diablo but shooter thing I mentioned earlier, and there's no loot or leveling in Tales. No character builds, none of that very light Diablo elements, no. The combat was it was Tales from the Borderlands combat, right? Like, it's not a shooter. It's not the focus of the game, right? Not the big draw. It's a miracle that the first game was as good as it was, in my opinion. Borderlands 3 has the best feeling combat the series has ever had in every aspect. Weapons are more distinct, there's even more of them, multiple action skills, crazy things that some of the guns can do, different shields, class mods, relics, enemy variety, encounter design, map, and environment design, all of it. It was just a fantastic gameplay experience. And every story DLC was fantastic, despite being a little... Remember Borderlands 2? I really liked Handsome Jackpot and the Psychoscape. Guns, Love, and Tentacles was fucking sick, and Bounty of Blood had a immaculate vibe to it. Like, the art direction of Bounty of Blood was so good. Oh, it was so good. And, once again, the creature design, Handsome Jackpot was a little uninspired. Bounty of Blood had some insane, like, animals in the areas. Like, oh god. Very, very good. Yes, the main campaign sucked. It was very out of touch with streamer culture as a concept, and the Calypso twins are all the worst parts of Borderlands in 1, 2, maybe? I don't know, place. That shit sucked absolutely, and there's no escaping that. The best way to experience Borderlands 3, in my opinion, is to mute the dialogue anytime you're doing story stuff. Some of the side missions are tolerable, but I don't really care about doing the side missions in Borderlands 3. You don't have to do them in order to survive because the numbers are tweaked in such a way that you could break the XP and economy very quickly, and it's not that big of a deal like it is in Borderlands 1 and 2, where you need money and you get, like, none of it for the first 16 hours. But, like, the DLC writing is really good. The player character, right? Like, the barks that your character has that shout out and give them personality and whatnot, very, very cool. A lot of fun. Enjoyed that immensely. Each Borderlands game, in its own right, has something that sets it ahead of the competition, in my opinion, and I don't think that the negatives outweigh the positives. So, I got everything in this video done. Every single thing. It wasn't a very good video, and it still wasn't going to be. But, I got everything done. I had it all rendered out. Spent all the time exporting it. Like, I straight up, like, deleted all of my source footage, too. Like, I'm shoving this in to the video, basically, after doing every single thing. And then I was talking to Jack today at work, and I realized that I completely forgot about Wonderlands, which is why you're watching arms race footage, the least fun part of Borderlands 3's gameplay, because you don't care about Wonderlands either. Wonderlands is fine. I fell off it pretty hard. It might have been the timing, it might have been how little personality the player character has, but the gameplay loop was okay. I didn't like the board game thing. I thought that was kind of momentum killing. Wonderlands was fine. If you told me you don't like Wonderlands, I understand. I get it. That one's a fair critique. Exception that proves the rule or some bullshit I'm gonna tell myself. But, I don't know. Apathy is worse than hatred, so the fact that I completely forgot about it is probably more indicative of how unbelievably meh the game was. Jack really loved it, and if you tell me you love it, I don't hate you for it. I don't think you're wrong. I was just not wowed by it in the same way that I was the other games. It might have had to do with the fact that it isn't a mainline Borderlands title, even though it's got Tiny Tina in it. I like Andy Samberg. I don't like him in that game. I don't remember who the robot was voiced by. Didn't particularly care, though, so. This is going to be so awkward to put in. The footage is going to be just, like, random bullshit. And, I mean, the pacing of this video is already shit anyway, so it probably doesn't matter, but acknowledging my faults. Yippee. But now, I'm going to speak to the criticism that the Borderlands 2 humor is bad. So the one thing that everybody points to is Boner Fart, and they say that it was never actually that funny. I'm going to defend Boner Fart here. I maintain that it's still funny, not in the same way that it was intended to be, but I'm still laughing at it. Like, back when I played Borderlands 2 for the first time, That shit was the funniest fucking thing. I remember we got to that mission and we just started laughing, and I remember being annoyed that they changed the name back after 5 kills. And I remember not really... I remember wanting to find a way to reload a save and just not kill them so I could look at the word boner fart on my screen. And like the little ones are called boner toots. I am a child. I am a fucking immature baby. But I could not stop laughing because, dude, boner fart. Who doesn't find that funny? But now it's funny in a different way, because it's a reminder of a simpler time and how fucking stupid I was. Also, specifically speaking to that side quest, getting fed up with the red tape and the way of getting around doing your job in a creative way, so you just decide to go with the most baseline and juvenile thing possible, just speaks to me in a way that it didn't before I had a job and started putting effort into a creative outlet. Maybe it isn't as funny, but I sure do get it. Just being like, alright, you know what? Fine. If I can't do this, we're gonna do this. Fuck you. Like, I get that mentality. I absolutely get that mentality. And then being told, no, you can't do that. Fuck off. By your supervisor, manager, whatever. Like, I get that as well. Another one that I think is a weird one to stand on is that Claptrap is obnoxious. Like, that's a criticism. Yeah, he is obnoxious. It's the whole point. The repair missions in the first game and the annoying... constantly popping up and playing whenever you walked through a area. It made us all hate the bastard. That sucked. He's a steward bot, so like he's designed to help us, but it was annoying. So they killed the product line in universe as a small nod to that annoyance, and then kept the most annoying one around, just because it's fucking funny. And he just gets more and more grating as the games go on, especially by the 4th one, dude. Water is wet, piss is red, and Claptrap is annoying. I don't understand how this is a criticism people levy at the games. Like, anybody actually enjoys him as a character. One exception being the door we opened in Borderlands 2 with him, where he goes on this massive fucking monologue right before getting cock-blocked by stairs. It's juvenile as fuck, but Claptrap shouting,
"You hear me, Jack? You killed my friends! You destroyed my product line! I am the last Claptrap in existence, and I am going to teabag your corpse!"
is just awesome. Like, fuck yeah, we're gonna go kick the shit out of this rich jackass, dude. Let's go. I don't know, this isn't supposed to be a detailed breakdown. I don't want this video to get any longer than it has to be. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see me do an entire detailed breakdown of every Borderlands game as my first long-form video project. It will not be very good. But I just wanted to lightly talk about why I think Borderlands is fine. You guys are just bean. You just hate things. It's fun to hate things now. I don't know. But now... we're gonna move over to the movie. Borderlands movie. Borderlands movie. We're gonna start off with the things that I think are good, in an attempt to be nice. Okay? So first, I appreciate the commitment to the aesthetic. It seems like somebody in the art department really fucking loves the games. Even down to the prop weapons, individual guns and parts were all very, very nice touches. Using direct assets from the 3rd game, like when they used those hologram heads, those being like player character head cosmetic options, right? Like, very, very impressive. I was very happy to just see things like that. I like seeing Jessica Negri in the background at Moxie's. That was a neat Easter egg. I like Jamie Lee Curtis as an actress. Kevin Hart surprisingly wasn't bad. Now, he played a little bit to type, but it wasn't too much that it was distracting. And it was probably the most accurate portrayal of Game 1 Roland we could have hoped for. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got that I liked. Dude, who wanted this? Like, seriously, what person who was a fan of the franchise thought that removing everything about it that works was a good idea? There's not even Handsome Jack to rely on for a well-written character to put butts in seats, right? Like, Borderlands is a video game franchise. Video games have a distinct advantage in that their stories can be not as good, but they can use gameplay to tell their story as well. Stop making video game adaptations when core gameplay mechanics are the key to the entire experience. The Last of Us works specifically because it is a narrative experience that also just happens to have gameplay. It's emulating prestige TV, movies, whatever, right? That's intentional. But games like this, where the story is sometimes fantastic, But it's not the point. It's not why a lot of people play the games. Why are we removing the gameplay? Why did we think that that's a good idea? And then, like, you've got, you know, Eli Roth talking about how that he wasn't trying to adapt it for the video game. He was trying to adapt it for the movie. I'm like, okay, that's fine if that's your goal. But then why not just do an original story in the same universe? Why do we have to hit so many proper nouns from the games? Like, this speaks to casting specifically. Like, what? I like Cate Blanchett. I think she's very talented. Everybody should watch Tar. But why is she Lilith? People point to Lilith's age not being video game accurate as a problem, and I'm like, maybe, I don't know, the story that he was trying to tell, the age works, I guess. But also, like, I don't know, Charlize Theron's like 49, Cate Blanchett's 55. It's a 6-year difference, but like she would have been a better Lilith. She would have been a better version of the character that Eli Roth was going for. Like I said, Cate Blanchett's very talented, but like why? Why her? Why her? Jack Black surprisingly gave a very muted performance as Claptrap. Now maybe that's because he's doing a robot and he feels that he has to be kind of monotonous, but also like it's Jack Black. He played a robot that shits. A robot that's famous for being annoying and having a grating voice. Alright. Sure. Whatever. I don't know, man. This movie just didn't work at all. The entire sequence where Lilith fights Tina and Krieg looked like ass, dude. And the end of the movie with her floating around with the Firehawk crap looked like ass. I've heard this movie got stuck in production hell. And, you know, it definitely shows. Like, you could tell there's a lot of reshoots based on the amount of times that they use the character facing away from the camera to shove in shittily 80-yard dialogue. Like, this movie definitely went through reshoots, a lot of them. I think I heard about them happening, too. The action sequences are pretty boring. Being handicapped by a PG-13 rating definitely hurt the film, despite what Randy Pitchford will say. Krieg, a character so fully committed to violence that the capstone skill of his bloodlust skill tree is literally called Blood Splosion, never made a single person bleed with his axe. Wild. On the topic of Krieg, though, Jack brought up a point that I wanted to speak to a bit.
So, with Krieg just being Tina's protector, and Tanis just being a source of information from the end, why did we not just have both Brick and Mordecai filling those respective roles? It feels like they both totally could have.
So in response to that, Batista was probably busy being in every other movie, so I don't know who they would have gotten to play Brick. Probably Nikolaj Coster-Waldau knowing this fucking movie, though. I am of the opinion that Krieg is a better Brick than Brick is, and this is to the games as well. If Brick wasn't a legacy character with a sad dog backstory, he would have been replaced by Krieg, just for branding purposes alone. The Psycho is a very iconic enemy, and Krieg is a very large playable Psycho. He fits perfectly. And also, Mordecai doesn't work as an exposition machine. Tanis is that in the games as well as this movie, and you've got to have an exposition machine, so I understand why there was no Mordecai. I could get even more granular. Like, for example, why is Crom Mouthpiece? Like, why did they use Mouthpiece's character as a bandit and then just name him Crom? There's no significance to the story. Why'd you name him Crom? Just name him Mouthpiece. Who gives a shit? Like, who fucking cares? There's clearly been some studio interference, making this movie boring and safe. Despite Deadpool's massive success, studio executives are seemingly still scared of the R rating, and doing anything truly creative would have required some actual risks being taken. This brings me back to my original point. Who wanted this movie? Who is this for? Like, was it for Randy Pitchford? Because, like, him and two cosplayers with a vested financial interest in never saying anything negative about any topic are the only people that I've seen defend this film. And Randy's like, I'm going to say this part to Randy because he has gone out of his way to find criticisms and disagree with them. Randy, buddy, it's okay that this movie sucks. You don't have to have a meltdown and threaten to go after people's livelihoods because a critic did their job and said they didn't like something. It's okay. They're not going to kill you. It's fine. I don't know, man. Sometimes movies are so bad that they're funny. And you can have a good time of it. Getting a bunch of buddies together and putting one on while you drink is just fun. But I don't think you can even do that with this one. It's just boring bad. Like, I walked out of the theater and I just, like, was staring off into space, trying to process what I was feeling, and there's nothing. There's nothing. I'm annoyed by some things, but also I'm bored. And Borderlands should not be boring. It should be dumb, stupid, and chaotic. It should be exciting and silly and gross. If I wasn't planning on making a video about it, I would not have spent money on a ticket. Don't see this movie. Watch other things. If you like PvE shooters, just play the games. They're fun. That's it, dude. There's no reason to watch this movie. I'm just annoyed. Oh, man. I've got really good timing, apparently. This is... I'm about to render this out so I can export this video, and they announced Borderlands 4 is coming. So, expect to see a bunch of people with the same exact take that I'm responding to at the first part of this video, about how Borderlands has always been bad, why would they want to make a fourth one? Sometimes, I just really knock it out of the park with this timing thing. And with that, that's going to do it for me here today. If y'all saw the movie and have any strong opinions about it one way or the other, I'd love to hear it in the comments down below. If you are a fan of the Borderlands franchise of the games, I would also love to hear what you think about everybody shitting on these games and this IP in those comments down below. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. The cat says goodbye. Have a wonderful day.